What's going on, everybody? I'm John J. II, and this is Gin Promotions. Big thank you to you guys for joining us tonight for this podcast / live stream on a Tuesday. A little bit off kilter, a little bit out of order, whatever you want to call it. Throwing a little bit of a curveball at you. Want to kind of keep you guys on your toes a little bit, see who tunes in, see how our audience is, see how it changes on a Tuesday compared to different days of the week. So bear with us. We got a kind of a introductory show today, kind of a recap type show where we can kind of catch up a little bit after the Vegas trip, after all the noise has settled. We can kind of get back to reality a little bit and ease back into the swing of things. So I want to thank everybody in advance for joining us tonight. Joe Laird, thank you for tuning in, brother. Thank you for watching us and supporting us. I see you liking and sharing our posts all over the place. So thank you, Joe Laird. I see what you're doing with the culinary stuff. Keep up the good cooking, bro. Looks good on Instagram. Keep it up. So this is the talk of the town right now. Let's talk about the Mayweather Paul fight. I did my gin and tonic on this last week. And basically, without kind of sugarcoating it any more than I already have to, it was basically a hug fest. So they went all 8 rounds. If you watch the fight, you watch the fight. There's probably no highlight videos out because there really wasn't many highlights. There was a couple good significant strikes, but nothing really out of the ordinary, nothing that really jumped out at you and surprised you. So they went the full 8 rounds. Everyone was looking for a knockout. There was a prop bet. I think it was plus 200 that the fight would go 8 rounds. All the commentators are talking, oh, Mayweather's just going to play with his food the entire night. He's just going to do what he wants to do with this Jake Paul, Logan Paul. He did what he wanted to. And Logan essentially got some strikes in as well. I think it's a very stellar performance for Logan Paul in this fight. And he really has nothing to be ashamed of, fighting a world-class undefeated fighter. Granted, he's a little bit older. I think the statistic was Logan Paul is 18 years younger than Floyd Mayweather, but Floyd still had it. He still had that spurt. He still had that pizzazz. He still had the agility that everybody knows and loves out of Floyd. So I think Floyd did a great job. Floyd's not known for being a knockout hitter. He does have knockouts under his belt for previous fights in his prime, but there was no knockout to be found on Sunday night when he faced Logan Paul. So that is what it is. There's nothing really to be too embarrassed about for Floyd's side. It was a big money maker. He called it legal bank robbery, which essentially it was for both sides. It was basically bank robbery for everybody. So nothing to be ashamed of in either camp. Big win. I'll call it a win for Logan Paul. Being able to go 8 rounds with a world-class fighter is not an easy task. It takes a lot of training, takes a lot of tenacity, takes a lot of discipline, whatever you want to call it. Throw all kinds of words at the board, and you're going to get some good stuff. So I was really impressed with Logan Paul and even Floyd Mayweather. Maybe they weren't going for the knockout. I think they wanted to, maybe kind of take it easy, at least in the first couple rounds, and kind of feel each other out. Just having the fight take place, I think it was a blessing for both of those 2 individuals to take part in it. So really good fight, but it was a hug fest. Okay, don't want to take that away. Don't want to give anything more away than I have to. It was a hug fest. There was a lot of hugging going on. The referee probably got more FaceTime than any boxing referee has ever gotten in the history of boxing. He had to split up these 2 guys every 5 seconds. I'm not even exaggerating. Sometimes it was every 2 seconds. So you kind of go between 5 and 2 and then see what you get. But unimpressive in that regard. A lot of hugging, a lot of contact. You want to kind of have, when you're boxing, unless you're getting tired or you don't want to get rocked, you're going to have a couple strikes and you're going to bounce off each other, get some separation, and then you're going to go back together. You're going to have times where you hug and you get really close to each other, maybe whisper something in the guy's ear, talk some shit, whatever you got to do. That's going to happen in a boxing match, but not at the frequency that it happened on Sunday night. So don't want to beat a dead horse with that one too much. Let's get into the further topics that we have here on our platter. Got quite a decent platter here for tonight, so let's get into it. So this is a big deal. We got Sobolewski returning to Gin Pros. He is coming back on the panel tomorrow for tomorrow's stream, talking about the Palmetto Championships in South Carolina happening this weekend, June 10th through the 13th. And we're excited. We're really excited about that, to have Sobolewski back. He's a big PGA analyst, the biggest PGA analyst that Gin Pros has to offer. And we're lucky to be able to have him and host him on the show. So big thank you to Mr. Sobolewski for that. We'll call him Sobo. It says Sobo in the title. He prefers to be called Sobo, so we'll call him Sobo. But we're excited about that. We haven't seen Sobo since the Masters Week show that we had a couple weeks back, maybe even a month ago. Time's starting to fly on me. Summer always flies for me. I don't know if that's the same case for you guys, but summer flies like crazy. When summer gets here, the warm weather's here, and then it's gone. Next thing I know, I look out my window and there's snow and ice falling down from the sky. That's just the way of the world. That's how Michigan works. Michigan weather is insane. We all know that. But we're excited to see Sobo on the show again for tomorrow, talking about the Palmetto Championships and also leading us into the U.S. Open that takes place the week after. So really excited about that. I'll talk about some of my prop bets, and this leads me into my next topic of the Las Vegas video. So the Las Vegas video, Bree and I went to Las Vegas, kind of saw the sights, felt out the sports books, the casinos, the slot machines, the roulette tables, everything. We felt them all out and basically did some damage. I did some damage. Bree even did some damage herself at the tables in the casinos. So we're happy about that. Left Vegas with some money in our pockets. So we're happy about that. But check that video out. And this is what I was leading into with the golf talk. Is I have a couple bets out there for who's going to win the U.S. Open. A couple long shots, but I just threw $5 on each of these individuals, and we'll see what happens. I'm not a big bettor on golf. If you remember the Beeperman, it's hard for me to remember him because I haven't seen him in a long time, but he used to be a big bettor in golf. So he bet Max Homa when he beat Tony Finau in a playoff and won a significant amount of coin from that bet. So I don't really touch golf, but I'm touching it for the U.S. Open, and I'm also impressed with what Phil Mickelson has been able to do, winning the PGA Championships. What was it, a couple weeks ago now? Yeah, a couple weeks ago he won that. That was a big deal, and he's taking a break. He didn't play. He's not playing this weekend, but he will be playing in the U.S. Open. So we're looking for that. I have Phil Mickelson in a prop bet to win it all, and also Francesco Molinari, which is a little bit better payout. I know Francesco, the Italian. I know that he has the capabilities to hang in the top 10 with the big guys. I know he has what it takes to play well in intense situations. So I know he's capable of doing it. Hasn't won in a long time, but I know he can do it. And if he can do it, that'll be sweet because it's going to be a pretty good payout for me. Not going to give the exact figures. Go ahead and watch that Las Vegas video. Check it out. And I'll put our link tree on the bottom of the screen down below so you guys can click that. Go to our YouTube channel, check out our most recent upload, and check that video out for yourself. Really exciting stuff. Kind of gave a good introduction of different parts of Las Vegas. We ventured off to the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Have a little bit of a snippet in there showcasing the Grand Canyon where we went to go see it. We saw the skywalk that you walk around a big horseshoe type fixture, and you can look down through plexiglass and you can see the bottom of the canyon right under your feet. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking for some. It wasn't nerve-wracking for me, and I'm going to toot my own horn while I can, while I got the show time, while I have the FaceTime with the audience, with people watching us live and people listening later on the podcast. But listen, you're very easily able to let that get in your head. Just looking down and seeing, thousands upon tens of thousands of feet to the ground, to your demise potentially, can be nerve-wracking. It can get to you. So check that video out, and it's very impressive. I think you guys will like it. Drop a comment, share it, whatever you got to do, but just check it out for yourself. We'll talk about something else involving Gin Pros that's very recent. It's still in the works, actually, but we're forming a Patreon page where we're going to be making exclusive content for our Patreon subscribers. There's going to be different packages available for everybody that's willing to subscribe and that wants to get more out of their Gin Pros experience. So that's something that's in the works. We're putting a lot of work into that. So stay tuned for that. I'll be tweeting and posting on Facebook about that one very soon here. And we're excited about that. So That's a big happening. It's going to allow us to basically monetize a lot of the stuff that we do here at Gin Pros, we're going to be able to reach a much larger, more vast audience by doing that. So we're excited about that as well. Stay tuned for all that stuff. Keep posted to our social media pages and posts for all updates regarding our Patreon. Really excited about that stuff. Got a comment here from Uncle John. Let's read it. Yes, this YouTuber was 40 pounds heavier than Floyd, so what he gave up in experience, he gained in age and size. Now, here's my problem with this fight, and maybe you can share your thoughts. Boxing has been a dying game for years, now especially since MMA really took off. Now, the cash that this YouTuber took from this fight for basically being just a loudmouth social media idiot is ridiculous. You got guys that are ranked 10th, 15th, 20th that bust their asses for an opportunity that this Logan Paul, and I think it cut him off. I think I get the gist of your comment here, Uncle John. Basically, he blew up on Vine, and then he blew up on YouTube, just doing crazy stuff. And people talk a lot of crap about Logan Paul. And I think that maybe his message can get garbled, it can get undermined. But there are a lot of boxers out there that might have deserved this fight against Floyd Mayweather, but they don't have that social stature. They don't have the followers. They don't have the Instagram following. They don't have the YouTube following like Logan Paul does. So a lot of that notoriety that comes outside of the realm of boxing sometimes really influences these types of fights, and it causes more money to be thrown at them, which is unfortunate. It really is. And you can even talk about it from Logan Paul's perspective, be like, yo, I really worked my ass off to, build up my following from a young age. I deserve this fight. And, whether he deserves it or not is a totally different conversation that you need to have. But I think no matter how you look at it, yes, there are a lot of boxers that can kind of maybe take the place of Logan Paul, or maybe should take the place of Logan Paul. I think that it's very important to recognize that and see why the game of boxing is doing this. And this is how I'll finish it off. The rest of your comment, here's the rest. Do you think this gimmick helps the sport or hurts it? So you mentioned MMA, UFC, Dana White, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, Gamebred, Jorge Masvidal. You got these names out there, Kamaru Usman. They've taken the spotlight in combat sports. Boxing has taken its seat on the back burner in combat sports. I think having this fight with Logan Paul, big name social media guy, and having Floyd Mayweather, world-class, undefeated boxer that's a little bit older but not out of his prime yet, I think having a fight like this is something that is going to bring boxing back to the forefront. Having a young guy like Logan Paul, even having Jake Paul fight people like Ben Askren, washed up MMA fighters. I think it's something that is it's hard to watch at times, but I think it's something that brings a fresh take. It gives you a fresh taste in your mouth when it comes to the sport of boxing. It gives a little bit of a twist to it. Look at MMA. When MMA came out in the 90s, it was a shit show. They had people fighting out of their weight classes. They had guys that were anorexic fighting people that were obese. They had women fighting men. It was an absolute shit show. But it revolutionized the sport. Not immediately, but over time, that type of mentality revolutionized the sport of MMA, and it brought it to the forefront well beyond the sport of boxing, especially the classical boxing with, people like Muhammad Ali, for example, and then the Rocky movies that came out. Those types of things are a little bit off kilter, and those things are hard to watch, especially for the classic combat fighting viewers and audiences that are out there. And I have tons of respect for that audience and for that class of people. I think having a fight like this, no matter how hard of a pill it is to swallow, having these two individuals fight, it brings boxing back to the forefront, and it gives it a fresh flavor to the viewers, and it gets the audience back up that was maybe down, and people that are just watching MMA, now they're starting to watch boxing again because it gets that youthful aspect. The kids are all following Logan Paul, Jake Paul, these two social media influencers that have somewhat invaded the sport of boxing. I think it gives it a fresh taste, and I think that it's very helpful for the longevity of the sport. Maybe it's a hard pill to swallow right now, but I think if you give it some time, let it marinate, I think that it's going to be much more beneficial for the sport of boxing going forward. So great comment right there. And I'm confident that this is going to be the case. Don't quote me on it though. He says, bust your ass for years or be a social media idiot, and seems like the latter is more profitable. Yes, the unfortunate reality, unfortunate truth of that statement is definitely the latter. The latter is more profitable. If you're a social media idiot that gains a massive following, and I'll mention some people from your country, the Great North. The Nelk Boys are a perfect example of that. Doing prank videos, doing all kinds of stuff, generating ridiculous amounts of revenue, having a clothing line, Full Send, that sells out within seconds of their clothing dropping. So it's crazy. It's a revolution. It's the ability that people have, millions of people have this ability to reach millions of more people by having access to the internet, having access to video editors, having access to people and friends that have the same vision as them. It's lethal for people that are trying to get it the hard way. I guess I call it the hard way, but the hard way is what I'd mention as this: building yourself, busting your ass in training, trying to just work your way through the ladder until you finally get that big break where you got that chance to really hit the big stage. Or you could go the route of social media. If you're successful, then you can basically get your foot in the door with whoever you want, talk to whoever you want, get certain deals in place with whoever you want, and work your way to the point where you're fighting world-class fighter like Floyd Mayweather. And I think that the sky is the limit for the social media route. And it's a tough reality to have to face and accept. But I think that is the case nowadays. And we'll see how it kind of transpires if it happens with more people going forward. Boxing, in my opinion, has slowly but surely transformed into a novelty type of sport where it's more of a game than it is a true brutal MMA style combat sport. Yes, it is still combat where you're facing your opponent face to face in a physical altercation that's organized. I think that it's kind of transforming the entire sport. It's not like it was in the Muhammad Ali days and the Rocky days. It's much different than that. And I think that's something we have to accept, but at the same time, kind of roll with the punches, no pun intended. And we will get to the point where boxing is a sport again, where you got to work your ass off in the boxing realm and only the boxing realm to do it. But I think having some social media following doesn't hurt your cause at all. So I think that's something that you got to focus on, no matter who you are. If you're a boxing fan, if you're an MMA fan, no matter what you are, you got to accept the reality that these two sports are here to stay, but they have to change in their marketing techniques to remain relevant and stay current. So I think I overdid myself there. Let me see. Let's talk about the Corona challenge before I get into any more comments here. If you guys got any comments about stuff that already happened, feel free to drop them. I'll get back to them, even if I'm ahead of those topics. It might take me a few seconds to realize that those comments registered. So just send them on in and I'll address them as they come in. Let's talk about the Corona challenge now. So we have 26 teams, 52 participants. They're locked and loaded, ready to go. Foursomes are being constructed as we speak. Communications have reopened with the golf course, Flushing Valley Golf Club, and everything's getting situated. Everything's getting figured out on our end, and we're making sure that everything is going to go smoothly come the 19th. Right now, we're accepting whole sponsors. So if you have a business, if you have a company that you work for and you work as a higher up or somebody in marketing, we're doing whole sponsors right now for $100. It's on our website, and check it out. We'd love to have you as a whole sponsor. So we'll have plenty of slots available. Pay $100 and we'll figure out your payment options. We'll get those all figured out for you. We'll get the sign made and we'll get that sign displayed very visibly on one of the holes on the golf course at Flushing Valley. So easy way to get promotion. There's going to be a lot of players in the field, a lot of volunteers out there on Saturday, the 19th. So if you want, be my guest and let me know. I'll put my email up here on the board on the screen so you guys can get in contact with me via email. If you have to get in touch with me through my cell phone, give me a call or text. Check it out on the Gin Pros website, ginpros.org, and get in touch with me. We'll figure it out. You have until the 15th to get a whole sponsorship, so make sure you don't wait on that and get it figured out. Having a little beverage right now. Excuse me to all my podcast listeners, but You can't see it. I'm having a Bloody Mary with Sobeski, Polish vodka, and I'm having some Zing Zang. I think that's what it's called. Zing Zang Bloody Mary mix. Very good stuff. It quenches your thirst. And unfortunately, I can't have my AC unit on in the room while I'm recording audio because it'll muffle the audio and it'll sound like shit later on. So I can't do that. It's getting hot in here, so I got to quench my thirst. I got a comment here from Hassan Campbell. Yo, what's up, boy? Hassan, what's going on, brother? Thank you for tuning into the live stream. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, really happy to have you with us. You ever heard that you look like DN? Who is DN? Who is DN, Hassan? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I don't know who DN is, but I guess I look like him. So go figure. I look like DN. So that's the beautiful thing about StreamYard. I'm going to plug StreamYard really quick. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos. Okay, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and since I use StreamYard, I think that my browsers are accepting cookies. And cookies are basically little crumbs that you drop off when you visit a site. And they know that I'm using StreamYard or interested in StreamYard. So I'm getting a lot of ads regarding StreamYard. And StreamYard's a great service. I really like it. It allows me to broadcast. Like we can see Hassan is on YouTube. We can see other people are watching from Twitch. There's people watching obviously on Facebook. So really happy with StreamYard and what they're able to do for us. And let's see here. And Teresa, what kind of vodka was that? It was Sobeski. So it's not the most expensive vodka. My favorite vodka is Belvedere. Also a Polish vodka. Poland is known for its vodka production. So whatever you're looking at, whatever you're talking about, obviously Belvedere is the best. Sobeski is more on the lower end, but I don't mind it. I think it's good in Bloody Marys. It gives you a little bit of a kick, but not too hard. Obviously, you got to have the ratio with the Bloody Mary mix and everything in there to make it work. But I am a fan. I'm not – I guess I'm not a huge advocate for it, but it's definitely not bad. So I'm fine with it, 100% fine with it. So everybody, I'll talk about the whole sponsors one more time. Let me get something pulled up here. I got to talk about the NBA playoffs. So the NBA playoffs are underway, as everybody knows. Everybody knows they're underway, and they're in the thick of it right now. So let me share the screen real quick. So I got a little bit of it. It's covering the screen. So let's start at the bottom. So Phoenix and LA. Phoenix won that 4-2. Obviously heartbreaking for AD and LeBron James. They are now facing the Denver Nuggets, where they lead 1-0. Their game 2 is tomorrow. Let's look at Portland. Portland lost 4-2 to Denver. Heartbreaking stuff for Portland. Obviously, Damian Lillard was looking to make a statement, and he failed to do that. The Denver Nuggets executed correctly, and they did what they had to do. Clippers and Dallas, they tied that one at 3. Clippers won it in Game 7. The series is currently tied. Game 1 starts tonight. Utah obviously dragged Memphis. They were kind of a constellation addition to the playoffs, and they made it by constellation. They made it to the bracket, but they got dragged by Utah, and they were an 8th seed, so I can't see that wasn't expected. Philly and Washington. Philly won 4-1, Washington being the 8th seed. Atlanta wins a crazy game with Trae Young playing out of his mind and going up 1-0 against the 1 seed Philadelphia 76ers. So Atlanta has another game tonight. We'll be watching that one closely. May even throw some live bets out there, so stay tuned for that. And then, Atlanta obviously won against the Knicks 4-1. Brutal performance by the Knicks. Didn't come out and show out, not like they did in the regular season, and it just wasn't enough. Same thing with Miami and Milwaukee. Miami, very, very unimpressed with Miami this year, and they just didn't have what it takes to even win a game. Didn't win a single game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee swept them 4-0. But now they're losing. They're down 2-0 to the Brooklyn Nets. So the Brooklyn Nets won their series in the first round against the Boston Celtics, won it 4-1. And now they have a little bit of wiggle room with the Milwaukee Bucks in round 2. So we're really excited. This is really heating up. If you got any comments, if you got any input at all, let me know who you got for the NBA Finals, who you got winning it all, and who do you got in your final game. There's obviously a lot of games to be played. We still have the conference finals to come, so that's going to be exciting. If I had to predict right now, I like the Clippers going to the conference finals. Clippers and Phoenix going with Philly and Brooklyn. Clippers, Phoenix, Philly, Brooklyn. And you're going to say, Clippers, they're a 4 seed facing a 1 seed in Utah. I still like the Clippers. Bet the Clippers in a parlay, a couple parlays actually when I was in Vegas, and I was very impressed with their performance. They showed out and did what they had to do to get me the win. So I'm very impressed with them. Uncle John with the comment, what do you think of the big baby leaving the court and not shaking hands? Very unsportsmanlike. And I don't think it's anything short of what we expected from LeBron, kind of a crybaby attitude. They should call him Big Baby Bron because, listen, he's a huge baby, crybaby, cries all over the court. They have to mop up the court in between drives, and especially when he left the court, just because his tears were leaking onto the playing ground. So you got to kind of consider that when you're talking about it. And, you know, LeBron's a big baby. I mean, I'm just going to call that what it is. Very clearly, he can't take a loss like a man, and it's just sad, really, especially being LeBron James playing for as many years as you've been playing. Towards the end of your career, I think it's fair to say at this point. And just to do that, it's unacceptable. Can't do it. Got to be a good sport. Puts you in a brighter light than maybe it would otherwise. And I think that's very hard for LeBron to grasp. He thinks he's the GOAT. He's let the power, he's let the tenacity, let all these things get to his head, and he forgets about sportsmanship at the end of the day. So it's kind of sad, and essentially it's really hard to watch. MJ, the GOAT. Yes, MJ is the GOAT. I think when people have that conversation, is MJ the GOAT or is LeBron the GOAT? I think it's a very easily answered question. It's obviously MJ. Okay. And all I got to do is tell him, watch the first Space Jam. Yes, I know LeBron is in the second Space Jam. It's not going to even come close to touching the first Space Jam. So I don't want to hear about it. People want me to review the Space Jam movies. I can do that real easy. Once the LeBron one comes out, I don't know if it's out or not yet, I will watch it and I will critique it to the highest degree. But I can guarantee you it will not outperform the first Space Jam because that was revolutionary. That was part of my childhood, part of my upbringing, and it was an icon when it comes to blockbuster movies. So that's all I really got to say about that. Good deal, guys. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. If you have any more comments, please drop them in here before I sign off. But I'm towards the end of the podcast / live stream right now. So if you have anything else to say, let me know. Now's your chance. If not, send me an email, send me a DM, send me a text, or even call me. All my information's on the website, and it's on our business card, which is featured on our Instagram page. So just let me know, and we'll get into a conversation. I'm excited for it, and I love hearing from you guys. I've been hearing from a lot of you guys regarding the Corona Challenge and the different events that we have planned. I really like it. I like having you guys reach out and give me your support, your suggestions, your comments. Everything is accepted, and I take it all very seriously. So thank you guys for that. Before I sign off, Uncle John has a last comment. How was Vegas? Now, Vegas was an experience unlike any other. I'll put it in a nutshell for you. Vegas was incredible. Now, unbeknownst to me, I guess Las Vegas was the #1 tourist destination for Memorial Day weekend, which just happened to be the same weekend we were there. So really busy, lots of people everywhere. The strip was packed. We took a walk down the strip one night, and then the other nights we did our own thing, hit the casinos. We chilled the resort a couple days. It was nice to kind of unwind and really take in the amenities that the resort had to offer. But yeah, a lot of casino time, a lot of sports book time. And that's basically what we came for. We did the Grand Canyon. We did the sightseeing. We went to the pools. We went to, some of the stuff they had going on in the strip. We went to the Bellagio fountain. We walked through the MGM Grand where they made the odds for the Corona Cup 2.0 and 3.0, which I was very impressive, dude. They actually talked face to face with the bookie that made those odds, which that was really incredible. I was really happy with that. But yeah, all I can tell you is go watch the video. The video will give it all a better analysis than I can right now in words. It'll give you some visual aids within that video. So I highly suggest you watch it and let me know your feedback. Check it out. Hope you guys enjoy it. But yeah, I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the official Gen Pros podcast / live stream. I'm your host, as always, John J. II. Have a great night.